live stream with India, Leanne and Abby, and we talked about black hair in the workplace. Now, one of the things that came up was about what happens, what do you do when white people come and touch your hair, like invade your space? What do you do when you're almost like the victim of unwanted attention? Because that's kind of what we were talking about. And one of the watch outs that I made during that live stream was, in this time when we're in now, and as we're banding together, so as black people are banding together, as other marginalised groups are banding together, as other white people are going, this is not right, this is outrageous, like how, what, like, no. And it's like the collective gassation, as I call it. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean? It's all I did. We're all gassing each other up. And also, when you've been in a similar situation, you end up tripping over yourself to tell people how you told said person about themselves, and somebody else tries to outdo you and says, oh my God, I did this and I said that and I told them, and everyone's like, oh my God, yeah, that's great, that's the best thing ever, that's the best clapback ever. Woo, woo, woo. So we're all kind of like, yeah, we would never stand for it, we would never stand for it. But in that live stream, I made the point that you've got to be very aware that in the moment, you can't be the one that claps back. If I think about situations that I've been in, of a team that I was part of, and I remember walking into the office a few times, open plan office, and they would be like hunting in the YouTube archives and saying to me, oh my God, you've got to see this because like we've showed it to everybody else and we think it's bang on, so can't wait for you to see this. And I'm thinking, oh, what's going on? They were digging, what was that show called back in, was it like GMTV back in the days with, I can't remember who was presenting, but do you remember Rusty Lee? So they would have a clip of her when she did her cookery segment on like GMTV or something like that, and they would say, oh my God, this is you, and when she would laugh, they would play it over and over and over again. And let me tell you, I fucking hated it. Not I disliked it, not I wish they didn't, I fucking hated it. Because you've got to remember, I'm the only black person, for a start, right? And as we know, for some black people, the way that we laugh is stereotyped. Our physicality is the subject of stereotypes. And you're mocking the way that I laugh in comparison, and mocking the way another black woman laughs. And you're all thinking it's hilarious, but you also think it's funny the fact that you've already done this within yourself. So you've already put this clip up and circulated it and said, isn't this Shireen? And you all thought that was okay. Now they could see in my face that I clearly was not happy, but didn't stop them from doing it anyway, until literally one person really clocked after like 4 or 5 times when I'm just thinking, oh fucking hell, here we go again. And in that moment, like if you see me now, you would think I would have been like bam, 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 no, I didn't. Because I did not want to be that one who, you're such a killjoy. And I've also been there when you get those comments, you know, when you say like, that's not on, like I don't appreciate it. And they go, oh, can't you take a fucking joke? It's just joking. God, why have you always got to be so serious? Don't you know how to relax? Let your hair down. If you could let your hair down, but I know your hair's a bit different, but what do you do? Is there another saying? Is there another saying for like black people in terms of let your hair down? Because you can't really let your hair down, can you? All of that. And I said nothing. And I carried on sitting in my desk, you know, typing whatever. But inside I was like, and I just thought, oh, here we go again. So when I hear from a place of support, and I know nobody does, it's not intentional from that point of view, but you've got to be really careful when you're listing all the examples of how you stood up to this person and that person, and you know, you did this and you did that, and everyone's like, yeah, I did. Everyone's coming in. That you're not unintentionally implying that those who don't are weak, are inferior and somehow less than. Because I also feel it a little bit, even amongst, when I come hard for this, part of it I think is to make up for the fact for a long time I didn't feel like I had a voice. So, and nobody was listening, nobody amplified my voice, nobody stood up for me. I didn't even stand up for myself. You know, I was talking to a board of directors the other week and I was really honest with them, and I said maybe that's part of the reason why I am so on it, why I care so much, why I care so much to the extent that I actually don't give a shit about the fact that I am unapologetically on a black vibe, because right now, I don't see enough people in positions of power and influence sticking their head above the parapet to lead and affect real change. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm saying I'm not seeing enough. I'm not seeing enough of the amplifying of Black voices and experiences. I'm not seeing enough of acknowledging that not everybody is in a position to be able to stand up for themselves. And if we're not careful, we make value judgments. Look how big and bad I am because I did this and I told them that and blah, 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 all of that. And then somebody else is sat there, a young person is sat there. Somebody who's a couple of generations older than me sat there and said, well, I never did that. So if I didn't do that, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I feel guilty for the fact that I just allowed that to happen. So we end up unwittingly compounding somebody else's trauma without even realising it. And as I said, I'm not saying it's deliberate, I'm not saying it's intentional. It's like the unintended consequence almost. And you know, bravado is an easy thing, we all get carried away with it. So I'm not even criticising those that do, all I'm saying is, I am very mindful of myself because I have been there. Do you know what I mean? And just because people see the way I am, I talked about when I was bullied early on in my career, and like, I remember people having some messages like, you bullied? Like I was making it up, like I'm gonna do a video and make up like the fact I was bullied. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, are you fucking serious? But if you only focus on the personality of the individual, you end up victim blaming, because what you're saying is there must have been something wrong with you to allow that to happen. Because me, I'd never allow that to happen. I'd never allow myself to be bullied. I'd never allow myself to be at the centre of unwanted attention. I'd never allow anybody to touch my hair. I'd never allow anybody to call me the N-word. I'd never, you know, you get into all, I'd never. So what you're implying is those that have found themselves in a situation was because they were too weak to stand up for themselves. Now you might go, oh my God, that's not what I mean. But that's kind of what's implied. So that's the reason why I felt it was really important for me to just context that in the live stream. It was in context of the black hair example, but I do feel like it has broader applications. Yes, we've got a lot of work to do in this space. Yes, people need to do better, but also we need to do better. We have to be aware of our actions and the unintended consequences of the things that we say and the way that we say it. Because I always say we can't keep poking at you, and you if we are not also doing better, if we are not coming correct. And I don't hear enough about people talking about what they have to be mindful of, what they have to work on. It's all about don't you do this and don't you do that, and white people over there, you've got to, and you've got to, and black people, you've got to, and you've got to. Don't get me wrong, you know I do a little bit of that often, but there's a lot of thought that I'm applying for myself to make sure that I too am not perpetuating somebody else's trauma, that I too am not perpetuating somebody else's economic disempowerment by not paying them properly, that you know, all of this stuff, the same thing that I'm challenging really hard for leaders to do better. I have to do better because my shit was never always on point, you know? So there's a part B to this, but I'm good, you know, I've got to separate the videos because I know you ain't got all day. But I hope that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?